This podcast is sponsored by Active Skin Repair, a skin health company helping people heal with natural, non-toxic, medical-grade ingredients.
So, Brie, I remember this one time I was in a bike race around Tucson and I wasn't paying attention. We were riding down 4th Avenue and there's railroad tracks, like streetcar tracks. And my bike's tire went and wedged in to the railroad tracks and I totally fell down and just skinned my hands, everything.
Ugh.
I had nothing with me, nothing at all. And it's that times where you want a first aid product and you have nothing. And Active Skin Repair utilizes a molecule called hypochlorous acid. When applied to the skin, the molecule works by mimicking the natural immune response to cleanse, soothe irritation, reduce inflammation, and support healing. I've used it on my son's mosquito bites, and I wish I would have had it the time I totally scraped up my hands.
Oh, I hear you. Like whenever I go paddleboarding, kayaking, I'm always trying to find something that is like an all-in-one that I can take with me. And Active Skin Repair could be used like that. It can be used to treat cuts, scrapes, burns, sunburns, rashes, and other types of skin damage. It's also safe and non-toxic, which makes it suitable for all skin types, all parts of the body, like eczema and acne-prone skin, all of that.
With over 500,000 happy customers, thousands of 5-star reviews, and ingredients so safe and clean they can be used from the youngest member of the family to the oldest, you now have one simple solution for all of your family's skin health needs. Visit www.activeskinrepair.com to learn more about Active Skin Repair and to get 20% off your order. Use code NOGUILT. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, JoAnn Crown, joined here by the lovely Brie Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
We had to jump on for this bonus episode of the No Guilt Mom podcast. So this is going to be very light in the editing. You are just going to hear some live opinions on this because, as you may have seen in social media, Harrison Butker, who is a player on the Kansas City Chiefs, made a commencement speech basically telling women that the best place for them is in the home. And Brie, you have some feelings on this as a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
I'm like scooting off to the side if we use the video so people can see my Kansas City Chiefs memorabilia behind me in my office. I grew up in Kansas City, and so that's like my hometown. That's my home team. And my heart is broken. Not because he shared his opinion. Like I want to be crystal clear on that. Like even though I 100% do not agree with very much of what he said, I am very much on the other end of the spectrum. I respect his right to say it.
Yes.
But I am so sad for people hearing that, for people that look up to him and hear that message, that, you know, the world is worse off because of the fact that we are being more accepting of others, because we're following science, because women are getting jobs and women are leading lives where they're not dependent upon a male to do things. Like, that is what makes me want to just scream.
Yeah, it makes me sad too. Speaking on cancel culture and everything like that, this is not a cancellation. This is total free speech. This is how it operates. He goes out, he shares his opinion.
Yeah.
We share our opinions back, and we have this discourse. And if he was sitting right here in front of us, we would probably have this discourse to his face. But
it'll probably be a little bit more energetic.
It'd probably be a little bit more energetic, and he'd be like, "Hold me back, hold me back."
Well, because I can only I have so many thoughts on all of this, because I know that college, I know where that is in Kansas, and again, being a Chiefs fan, having grown up in Kansas City, it makes me very sad. It makes me very sad.
It does. So for everybody who has not gotten to see the speech yet, or maybe you've seen only clips, let's really look at it. Let's dissect it. The broad thing of the speech was it was a Catholic university, and most of what he said was traditional conservative Catholic values, because there's a long spectrum of Catholic values. I grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
I would say my family's more on the liberal end of Catholic values, and his is very conservative, and that's the audience that he was speaking to right
Mhm.
here. And most of his speech is like, hey, like our leaders, he was criticizing leaders and saying like, please take more accountability, like criticizing priests in particular and bishops for trying to make themselves look good instead of actually leading their churches. So there was a lot of stuff. It wasn't just against women. The women part was a very small part, I think, of the overall speech, but there was a lot in the speech to dissect, and I don't want us to get distracted on it because there's a lot you could go into. I do want to make one point clear outside of this talk about women in the home is when he talks about made an offhand comment, not the deadly sin sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it. I felt that was just an assault on people who chose to live their lives differently than Harrison Butker and the gay trans community.
I was gonna say, like, and as a proud aunt of a transgendered nephew, like, beep me out on this. Screw you. Like, no, those. Have we not have we not grown into a society where we are accepting of what all you might be a cat person and I'm a dog person, but I'm not going to sit here and say that you're evil because you don't have the same beliefs or you don't like the same gender as I do or you don't like the fact that I feel like I am uncomfortable being in the skin that I am in. Like it doesn't hurt you what somebody else is doing, Harrison. Back up.
Yeah.
Back up on that one.
Yes. Well, I feel like the comment he said against Pride Week in particular, like, I was loose acquaintances with this person in the entrepreneurial community who posted something on his Facebook about pride being a deadly sin. And I just could not believe that he would espouse such hate, because really what that is it's looking at somebody. And I guess this is the difference between maybe Harrison Butker's line of thinking and what like our line of thinking is. But I think that he believes it's a choice where like it is not a choice. It is not a choice.
It is who you
are born.
It is
it is who you are.
Yeah.
And there is no use in criticizing that because it is who people are. And all you're doing is really like promoting hatred against something people can't even control.
Right.
So it's just, I just had to address that little comment of his right there. So let's get into this. The ladies present today, Brie. Because this is how he started it out. For the ladies present today, congratulations on this amazing accomplishment, which, by the way, the tuition of Benedictine College is about $35,000 per year. He's saying this to a group of college-educated women. You should be proud of all that you have achieved to this point in your young lives. I want to speak directly to you because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross the stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you're going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world.
I mean, and then he uses his wife as like his example.
Yes, I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and a mother. And I have to say, like, can you be both? You can be both.
Yeah.
You could be a wife and a mother, and you can have a career and be successful.
Well,
I believe that all is true, but it can't be true in this relationship that Harrison Butker's talking about.
Right, because he's right there saying that women have been lied to, that you're going to find happiness in pursuing what interests you and what are your passions. That really
that's
is
the lie he's saying.
Right, but he's telling and he's telling women like, no, that is not like, and I do understand that there is a strong, and again, I did not grow up Catholic. So you are an expert on this compared to me for sure. But
I never got this messaging as a Catholic, by the way. Like,
okay.
I never got this.
See, like,
the only messaging I got was that, in returns to this, was about, only men can become priests. And growing up, I thought that was incredibly unfair. I was like, why can only men be priests? Why can only men
because apparently
stand
God
up
only
there
likes
and speak?
Men. I don't know.
There's so much to go there.
There's so much
that was
to
the main
unpack.
messaging.
Oh, that second.
This homemaking role, I did not get that messaging.
But everybody that I know that was brought up Catholic, and again in Kansas City, there in Midwest in general, I think, but also just in Kansas City, there was a lot of Catholicism out there, a lot of Catholic families, and I don't know a single one that didn't want their daughters to have a happy, healthy life and did not encourage them to get an education and have a successful career. Now, like you said, you don't have to have just one or the other. You don't have to have a career and be a crappy family member or be a great family member. And notice I'm saying family member and not mom, but you can be a great family member and have a great career. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And the fact that he's taking their years of work, this celebration of all of that hard work that they have put forth towards a degree, and then just basically like stepping on it and smushing it and going like, yeah, but you'll be pregnant and in the home and that'll make you much happier. No. And we're not even touching on the privilege piece of this. Not even.
There is a big privilege piece on this because he never refers to himself as a football player. Like often, he mostly refers to himself as a father and an entrepreneur. He's like, my wife makes sure that I come back and I'm a good father in the home and I'm a good entrepreneur. But guess what, guy? You're also on the Kansas City Chiefs. You get like this pride of your like football accomplishments and like all of the riches associated with that every single day.
There we go.
Every single day. This is a money issue. There's a money thing involved in this. Yes.
Yeah. Part of you getting to be an entrepreneur are the gifts that were bestowed upon you. Yes. And I can also guarantee you that your wife's life as a stay-at-home mom is different than the average American's life as a stay-at-home mom. Because
very true.
I can guarantee you that she has abilities and resources available to her that the vast majority of women in the United States that are stay-at-home moms don't have. We just don't. Like to varying degrees.
Yes, you're gonna kill me on this one. But what's Taylor Swift's boyfriend's name?
Oh, Travis Kelce. Yeah, and I was like, and how dare you use Taylor's words? You
Swift. Oh my God. Okay, so but he did specifically refer to Taylor Swift as his teammate's girlfriend instead of Taylor Swift. So we're just gonna leave that alone because it's not his teammate's girlfriend. He is Taylor Swift's boyfriend's teammate. That is something that Renee Rena posted about today, and I'm like, I'm going to use that. That is great.
True. Like the joke.
That is true.
I mean, I was always a little hurt with the whole comments of like how Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce on the map because I'm like, no, Travis Kelce is a great football player and has been one and has been revered as one for many years before he started dating Taylor Swift. But don't you dare. Don't you? And I am not a Swiftie. We've had this conversation. I like her music, but I am not a Swiftie. And
I wouldn't say I'm a Swiftie either. And I know her music well.
I was gonna say, and I'll say it in a respectful tone because I feel like people that are Swifties, like you guys are more dedicated than I am. But how dare you like deplete her to nothing more than the girlfriend of a teammate? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no, you did not say that either. Like again, if this was in person, it would definitely be a hold me back. Hold me back.
Hold me back. Yeah, but I was going to say that because Travis's brother, it's Jason Kelce, right?
Yes.
From the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. So I watched the documentary Kelce on Amazon Prime, and it really gave an insight. Did you see this documentary?
I know of it. I haven't watched it yet, but I do know what you're talking about.
It gave an insight into Jason Kelce's home life, and it looks like a very lovely home life. But like, and his wife, like they have 3 kids. She's like running around like crazy too, all girls. But there was something in particular in what you said that his wife has options available to her for the Super Bowl for the Kelces. First of all, it doesn't look that great being a football player's wife. Honestly, it doesn't look that great. It's like I'm a hard pass. They didn't even get like box seats for the Super Bowl.
I know exactly what you're talking about, the scene you're going to talk about because I saw that. Yeah.
Yes, but she was almost ready to give birth, and she was able to bring her OBGYN with them on this trip.
Mm-hmm.
Her OBGYN, like personal for her on like a 4-day trip.
Yeah.
That's a privilege that not many people have.
Oh, very few people could work that out.
Yeah, and I'm not blaming her, but I am saying there has to be like some kind of like noticing acknowledgement, yes, of the privilege that Harrison Butker has in his life and can give to his family. And like good for him for giving it to his family, but also like that is not the rest of America. There is like supposedly like income, like the income gap right now between like the richest and the poorest. Apparently, like when you graduated from college in the 1950s, college graduates got like 50% more income than non-college graduates. Right now in our world today, that's a 200% more income than non-college graduates that college graduates get. That is how much like there's income disparity in this nation. Like it is bad. And so when he talks about all these traditional values and all of these things, the gap between the richer and the poor is really increasing, so much so that those traditional values don't hold anymore in our current society at all. At all, because he has a level of money that not many other people have at all.
Exactly. And there's also the fact too that so you read the transcripts and watched a couple of videos, I'm pretty sure, the commencement speech. I saw a couple clips, and then before we started recording, I'm like, I need to see the whole one because I haven't seen the whole speech. And you sent me the transcripts and I'm like, no girl, I gotta watch the video. So I found a video on YouTube from I do believe it was from Benedictine College, and it had the whole thing, and at the
Benedictine.
end, or Benedictine, sorry. And as it pulled back, it showed like the auditorium that it was in, and it was very small. Like having just gone to NAU's graduation, in Northern Arizona University's graduation this weekend, this school was very, very small. It is a private Catholic college. Those people are also in a completely different world than the vast majority of the country. And so,
yes.
And I just feel like he is not, I 100% support his right to have his own thoughts and to express them and to have his own beliefs in his faith, but to sit there and to say that there is evil in the world, and to say that that there is like that crumbling of society because men are being emasculated and removed from the families, and that like that's the reason we have so much crime in this country is because men aren't present in their families. Like, no, it's because of extremist points of view that are causing people to feel like it is them against everybody else. And having grown up in the Bible Belt as well, like it's a very like you're pretty much being told it is your job to save everybody who's a non-Christian. And
well, what's
that's
interesting about that comment, what's interesting about that comment is that he says, to the gentleman here today, part of what plagues our society is this lie that has been told to you that men are not necessary in the home. Who's telling the men this, and who could we like stop them from telling this? Because we want like the men in the home much more than they are. We want them like helping with the dishes, not helping, doing the dishes, cleaning up after things, keeping track of like the kids' clothing, making sure like everybody gets to school on time, doing like every single job that the woman does in the home. Like, why? Who's telling the men this? I want to know. Like, tell me, Harrison Butker, who is telling the men this? Because that's the person we need to talk to.
I think
to stop this.
I think the story he is referring to is still along the lines of the Deadly Sin celebrated month, about like how gay women can have children, lesbian women. Like, no, I think
you think so?
I think part of it is that, and I think part of it is the acknowledgement of single moms and how they can still like how they do so much on their own and how much work that is, and giving them that what's the word? The word is escaping me at this exact moment, but like giving them that pride, that acknowledgement of what a good job that they're doing, is not the same thing as saying that you don't need a male there. What we're trying to say is like,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
doing it all on your own. Congratulations. If there were
Because
more
all of
single
those
dads, then the same thing would be being said for dads. But there
yes,
aren't
because
as many.
all those single moms left loving and respectful relationships to become a single mom.
Yes.
That was their
Right?
choice, right? Like, that's why they're a single mom, because they can just, like, that's ridiculous. It's so, like, I don't get this. I don't get this at all in this line of thinking. I think it's because, like, there is so much isolation in our society, like, even among people, like, wanting the same thing. Like, you will see, like, different groups bashing each other on these extremist points of view that I really think today's social media exacerbates, because all we're shown are people who agree with us so strongly, and we're not really shown these people who don't agree with us, which is why I actually love talking about this Harrison Butker commencement speech, because it lets us bring it out into the open and talk about these different viewpoints than us, and why we think that they are invalid. Now, if we were going to look at Harrison Butker's point of view as to why he thinks that life should be this way, I'm having a really hard time figuring that out. And I guess it would be something where I'd have to sit down with him and really get some personal stories as to why he feels this way. Because I also want to note that his mother is a physicist, has this very, very, like, prestigious career.
Yeah. And if he didn't mean for it to come out in a way where he was trying to say that women belong in the home as a mom and a homemaker as opposed to having a career, then he really needs to take a step back and publicly say that was not my intention. Because you know what, I think that's a big piece too. Like, there was a lot of things he said in there that came off, if he didn't mean to, they're coming off very, very disrespectful, sexist, and
They are.
and just very judgmental. And I
It's like a
really am
lack of
hoping,
understanding.
yeah, and I'm really hoping that my Kansas City Chiefs do better, that they have better
I hope he comes
character.
back and, like, talks about this, because I'm just going through my mind is like, what could possess him to say this stuff? Like, what could possess him to say you have had the most diabolical lies told to you? And all I can think is that he has had someone close to him who is a woman who is trying to make it in a career that they might not have loved, that he saw really, really struggle, he saw be stressed. And maybe he's comparing an instance that is really salient in his mind to an instance he sees maybe of his wife who's very fulfilled in the home. You know, like, you have no idea the understanding behind people's beliefs. And, like, I think if I understood that, I would be like, no wonder he thinks this way. Of course he thinks this way, because it's on his personal experience and what he's seen. That is what I find is, like, the most hate and the most like, most statements like this come from people who have not experienced or had close relationships to people who are different than them, and for
Right.
people who espouse different values than them. And that's where you see most of these messages come across.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. And I mean, he was definitely speaking to the crowd. He definitely wrote a speech to the crowd he was speaking to. Like, for sure.
Yeah.
It was definitely well received. And there was, like, you wrote out a couple of quotes on a little note from his speech, and I just highlighted one for us in the notes here that I really feel like I also wanted to, like, just visit upon. He wrote,
Yeah.
or he said, being locked in with your vocation and staying in your lane is going to be the surest way for you to find true happiness and peace in this life.
Yeah.
Harris
And
Buckner.
he's a football player.
Have you ever heard of bumper cars? Like, I gotta say, one of the funnest experiences in my life, especially as a child, was driving the bumper cars. And you know what you do in bumper cars? You get out of your lane, and you go all over the place. You don't drive in a straight line, and it was so much fun. Like, he kept saying over and over again about staying in your lane. And I don't know anyone that has had a great life where they kept their head down and stayed in their lane.
Well, what's really interesting is that it is a contradiction within his whole speech about the stay in your lane because another quote I pulled, he says, "You might have a talent that you don't necessarily
Yes.
enjoy, but if it glorifies God,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you should lean into it that over something that you might think suits you better. I speak from experience as an introvert who now finds myself as an amateur public speaker and an entrepreneur, something I never thought I'd be when I received my industrial engineering degree." And so like this stay in your lane comment is really
Yeah.
like how do you interpret this? Because staying in your lane was like picking one thing and going with it. Like he
Yes.
wants women to stay in their lane,
Uh-huh.
but it seems like he can go and like try different things other
Exactly.
than what he originally decided to do. I'm
Exactly.
confused.
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
confused.
It's
Yeah.
okay for and again, this is how it's being perceived because again, if that's not what you meant, Harrison, this is a good time to come out and be like, "Okay, I think I could have articulated things a little bit better. Here was my intention."
Yeah.
Um, but
Um
it seems pretty
yeah.
clear that that was not his intention is exactly what was said, which is a contradiction.
Yeah. Well, I was looking for some opinions and some rebuttals to this online, and I found something from the Kansas City Star opinion writer Yvette Walker, because he was saying how women should stay in their lane, and it's like what the Bible says. And yeah, I know, but Yvette Walker says he forgot the women leaders in the Bible who didn't stay home and were part of the early Christian movement, such as Mary Magdalene, who traveled with Jesus and was the first to witness the resurrection. And then she mentions a lot of other women who were very prominent in the Bible. And so, like, this isn't like a biblical thing. This is just how, like, one piece of society wants to interpret this one work.
Yeah.
and that's what gets me
Well, and he also
when women
he
go
also
ahead.
goes on for a whole tangent in that speech too about how you need to go to the Latin traditional mass.
Oh,
Like how
yeah.
we've let go of that. I'm like, Harrison, you sound like you're drunk.
I
and
don't
hey, you know what else? We don't have enough Latin in the church these days. When you're picking a place to live, it better have a good Latin mass. He said that. When you're looking for
Yeah.
a place to live, look for a good Latin
Better.
traditional mass rather than just what the property values are and cost of living is. Like,
Yes. Well, in
oh.
Catholicism, I mean, the whole thing with the church is that you had to go to church to have a priest interpret the Bible for you. And when Martin Luther came around, his whole thing was that, you could learn how to interpret the Bible yourself. And so I don't know where I was going with that, but just saying that we could just cut that out. Just cut that out. I have no idea where I was going.
It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. But this
No,
whole
but
speech, like,
actually, sorry, we can cut it out or not, but I think that you make a good point. Like, that's not the world that we're in anymore. Like, to sit there and act like we're all peons and we don't know what's going on and that we can only like make forward movement based upon what those in religious positions are telling us is
yeah.
ridiculous. That is not the
Yes.
world. We live in a much more educated, connected world.
hmm And I
Enlightened,
think
and he's
comments
taking it away.
like commencement speeches like this were designed for that appropriate audience of 100 people, and now that it has gone viral, everybody has an opinion about it, including us. But I thought that this episode was really important because everything he said is all of the internal messaging that we see constantly come up in our community about
Mhm.
why women are martyring themselves and martyring their own beliefs and their passions to stay home and take care of their kids.
And
And I think that
why they are secondary members of their families and often of society. While
yep,
secondary does
exactly.
not mean that we're not extremely important, we are often the pillars that are holding things together, but we are still seen as secondary citizens,
Yeah. So
especially in
we
that
want it.
thought process. Sorry.
Exactly. No, we want to hear your thoughts on this. We're going to be talking about it in the No Guilt Mom podcast Facebook group. So make sure that you go and join that. The link is in the show notes. And remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
When it comes to raising kids, there's so much to consider. Things like, what do we feed them? When do we feed them? How do they sleep? What does it look like to raise kind kids? How does their nervous system work? How do I keep myself calm? What are my triggers? There's so much that comes into play, and we are distilling all of that information for you at Voices of Your Village podcast, where we bring experts in the field of early childhood and education and psychology and across the board so that you don't have to comb the internet for information. You get to show up and hang out and have shame-free, judgment-free conversations and insights into what it looks like to raise kind, empathetic, emotionally intelligent humans. I'm Alyssa Blask Campbell. I have a master's degree in early childhood education. I'm a mom of 2, and I am walking this journey right alongside you doing this work. Come hang out with me at Voices of Your Village, and we can dive into real conversations with actionable tips.